The main geological feature and the main geographic feature in Israel is what we call the Rift Valley, or the Great Rift Valley, that extends from Syria along the Jordan Valley, the Gulf of Eilat, here, Dead Sea, all the way down to the Gulf of Eilat. And it is very deep, and the Lake of Galilee is one of the main lakes along this valley, and it also extends from the Gulf of Eilat south to Africa, to East Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, and so on. So along this Rift Valley there's a lot of wild emmer. It grows in Israel from high elevation of 1,600 meters in the Hermon mountain that we can see in back of us there. It's a bit of snow on it. Down to the elevation of minus 212 or 200 here around the Lake of Galilee. And also wild emmer grows down in the Hebron mountains in precipitation of only 250 millimeters. So it's a huge variation in climate and habitats. Crops, wild relatives that are related either to cereals or to legumes or to herbs like fennel or so. And a few examples, some kind of pisum related to peas, and two species of medicago. Where is it? One is here, this one. Then the wild barley, you can see the difference. And it's just started to flower now. We were not sure it will flower because different climate or different weather can delay it in 2 weeks, and then we would see nothing. But we came here Friday to make sure that you will see wild emmer wheat. So it's here. And now it's also in Antedis. So this is a wild emmer wheat. You can see it here. It's a bit more robust than the barley. I'll take one spike.
It's a good way, just a minute, it's a good way to distinguish when you do like this. You see the two. When you take the barley,
it's one.
One. It's very easy, you don't have to pick it even.
There's some oat too there?
Yes, so this is a wild emmer wheat, and 1 centimeter aside we can see wild oats. So all the crops, wild relatives of this region, cereals crops, are joined together in one grassland. And also wild clover, several species of clover here, and chamomile, and many other plants that I will not name now. But if you're interested, I have a book and I can tell you a bit more about the rest of it. Small field here of Aegilops peregrina, or variabilis in its old name. You see it's quite different from wheat, but it's the same, it is very related. In Israel we have 11 species of Aegilops with different polydity levels, either hexaploid, tetraploids or diploids. And it is considered the center of diversity. Israel is considered the center of diversity of several of those species. And in our bank, in seed bank in Israel, in Tel Aviv, we have all of them collected. So if you're interested, you can have some of these. So this is Aegilops peregrina. Usually grows on the side of the roads, on disturbed habitats, but also in this grassland. And another one is Hordeum glaucum, of course related to barley. And this also grows on the side of fields, cultivated fields, and the sides of roads, and not so much within natural habitats. In Europe it is related to Hordeum murinum that grows in Europe, but in the last 20 years it was separated, the species, the taxonomy was separated. Now it's called Hordeum glaucum.
זה החלק הקשה שלך. זה החלק.
Hi, welcome. We are now within the framework of the WHEALBI meeting, the third annual meeting in Israel, and we are now in a field trip to the drought experiment in the southern part of Israel, near Kibbutz Urim. We are here in Kibbutz Urim, in the south of Israel. This area normally receives about 220 millimeters on average. This year the rainfall was only 140 millimeters, so for the experiment, even for the drought treatment, we applied the supplementary water. And apart from this, we have a treatment that receives ample amount of water, so that we can compare how these cultivars perform under the normal local conditions versus better water conditions.
Now we are in the Negev desert, and we are in the field experiment field for drought resistance, comparing European varieties and land races from which represent a huge diversity of European wheat, and you can see it in the field. And we have here also a cross between wild Emmer wheat and durum wheat, and you can see it over here. The results of this line, and this is very interesting, very amazing to see this huge diversity which can be used for improvement of cultivated wheat.
Yeah, my name is Jakob Lage. I'm the head of wheat pre-breeding at KWS, and we are one of the companies that are part of this WHEALBI EU-funded project. Interested in this project is that we're screening a lot of genetic resources, both in wheat and barley, that we could potentially want to use in our pre-breeding activities, looking ahead into the future, at the next 10, 20, 30 years. How is the climate going to change in Europe? How are we going to be able to leverage some of the genetic diversity we're seeing in this set and using in our pre-breeding. Pre-breeding is a very long-term activity, so we are looking at what's going to happen 10, 20, 30 years ahead. So making crosses with some exotic material like this is for us something normal to do. We just need the results from this project to tell us which of all this material would be most beneficial for us to use.
Hello, my name is Daniela Bustos, and I'm a PhD student at Wageningen University. I'm doing my PhD as part of this project, and I'm working in the integration between molecular data and field data. So we're working in statistical analysis, and the idea is to try to find out what is driving the different adaptation of the genotypes to the environmental conditions, and hopefully identify some interesting QTLs or some interesting genes that are responsible for this adaptation, so that those tools can be used for selection, in this case for good yield in dry environments, for example, that can be useful in a breeding program.
Nathan Morris, I'm from NIAB in the United Kingdom, and I'm Work Package 7 leader, looking at the agronomy trials of the WHEALBI, or a subset of WHEALBI lines, looking at performance under different tillage and input systems in both conventional and organic husbandry conditions, to see which ones may be more suited to work in lower input systems.
Hello, I'm Marco Martelli, junior wheat breeder from SAS. SAS means Seed Italian Society. We are within the WHEALBI project. We are involved in two work packages, work package 6 and work package 7. Work package 6, so pre-breeding method, new pre-breeding method, coordinated by KWS leader Jakob Lage, and the work package 7 about the conservation management. Are we now in Israel, and look at this beautiful field that give us important characteristics about the behavior of the common garden of the WHEALBI project. So is for us a great opportunity for improve our knowledge about the new breeding techniques and about take genotype and new germ plants collection within our breeding program.
This is a very peculiar climatic condition where we have an extreme drought. It is clear there are few cultivars which are well adapted to this situation. So you have a cultivar like this, it still has to flower. We are at the end of March. This cultivar will never yield any seeds, because then in 1 month from now the temperature will be so hot that the plants will die anyway. Plants more adapted to this situation are plants which are early flowering, like this one. These plants will yield something, and in the collection you clearly see probably half of the cultivars tested now have already flowered, so they have some chance to yield, to have some yield. All other cultivars did not flower yet, and we are at the end of March, they will not probably yield any significant product. This is Robigus, which is a perfect cultivar for UK conditions. When you grow those plants here in the south of Israel, this is the result. This cultivar will never yield any seeds.
So I'm Peter Werner from KWS, a barley breeder. I'm here on this WHEALBI project with my colleague Jakob Lager, who's a wheat breeder. We're both involved in pre-breeding for our company, so that's the development of new material germplasm and new understanding of genetics to facilitate all the breeders in our cereal crops.
Thierry Marcel, I am working at Biogère in Rhin, France, in the laboratory of phytopathology. And we are working on wheat diseases, fungal diseases, so mostly rusts, yellow rust, brown rust, and septoria. So here you can see a beautiful example of stripe rust, which is also called yellow rust. So you can see the color of the fungus is yellow, orange, and it's making beautiful stripes on the leaves. So yeah, it's an important disease of wheat.